The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is a robot with countless irrelevant menu options. Which is why with USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable, all at the touch of a button. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply. USAA.
You're with me, Dr. Sky, on the Dr. Sky Experience, heard exclusively here on Talk Radio 77 WABC, as we like to call it, and many others agree, the crown jewel of radio, the iconic 77 Talk Radio. Beaming ourselves out of New York, around the nation, around the world, and I'm confident, even out into the cosmos. This particular podcast is dedicated to the upcoming annular eclipse of the sun that takes place this coming Saturday, October the 14th, for a good portion of the nation. Sit back and relax as we give you all the details on this most amazing event. But first, a word of caution. As with any eclipse of the sun, in our opinion, it's necessary to have the proper solar glasses to view the eclipse. But if you're not able to get those in time, we also recommend that you get these ahead of time for the big, major total solar eclipse that will take place on April the 8th, 2024, around a good portion of the nation. We recommend those solar glasses by going to TSE17.com. That's TSE17.com. It stands for the Total Solar Eclipse of 2017 that yours truly and many others got to see. And that's an amazing event that we'll talk about later in this edition of the Dr. Sky podcast. But first, let's talk specifically about what an annular eclipse of the sun is. This beautiful sacred geometry, as we like to call it, occurs when the moon, for an annular solar eclipse, is at its farthest point away from the Earth. We find that position called apogee. So on that date, the moon, for some lucky observers that are in a path that's about 116 miles wide, that moves through many western states, they will experience the great ring of fire, in which you'll see literally the moon in between that and covering up, not all of the sun, but there'll be a big ring of light around the sun. Because of the moon's smaller size, we call that the ring of fire. Now we'll talk a little bit more about some of the states that will experience that annular eclipse. But for a good portion of the United States, there'll be a partial solar eclipse. So back to the safety issue. If you're not able to have the solar glasses in time for this eclipse, here's another interesting and kind of humorous way, but safe, to view the eclipse. Get a real saltine cracker or two. Yes, a saltine cracker. The original ones have 13 holes. Hold that saltine cracker as your back is to the sun, and behind that, or in front of that, I should say, have a sheet of paper. So the light shines through the little holes, shines onto the piece of paper. When the eclipse reaches its near maximum, you'll be able to see 13 small images of the moon covering part of the sun. Now that's interesting. And for children alike, it's a safe way to do it. And of course, you can have a special event centered around that, maybe an eclipse party or such. Those ideas are for your own ways to create more fun and excitement, but at least we gave you another safe way to view it. How often do these annular eclipses of the sun happen? Let's talk specifically about solar eclipses. All solar eclipses occur with a repetitive cycle of some 18 years and months and days. Now, that doesn't mean that this eclipse will occur again in some 18 plus years and days, but it does mean somewhere on the Earth, this cycle of eclipses will repeat. They're known as Saros cycles. And this particular Saros, meaning this group of eclipses, is part of a Saros cycle called Saros number 134. This will be eclipse 44 of 71 eclipses. They started back in the year 1248 with partial eclipses of the sun and also some annular and total solar eclipses. And they move on a couple of hundred years from now too. So take advantage of seeing this. But let's give the appropriate times for our New York area listeners, primarily those listening directly in the environs of New York City and states around there on Talk Radio 77 WABC. So on Saturday morning, October the 14th, and Saturday that date, you will see the sun become partially eclipsed by the moon starting at 12:08 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The maximum eclipse for the New York area, a partial eclipse, will occur at 1:22 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Saturday the 14th of October. The whole event is over by 2:36 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. How much of the sun will be covered in the New York City area? 35% of the sun will be covered up by the moon. But for those lucky enough to be in the path of annularity, as I mentioned before, that very slim area of some, 116 miles wide, moving across the states of Oregon, portions of Nevada, Utah, far northeastern corner of Arizona, into the deep part of New Mexico, and down into the Texas area, along the Gulf Coast, and then down into Central and South America. You will get to see in certain locations in the United States up to 4 minutes and say 40 seconds of that moon literally in the center of the sun with the ring of fire. Have proper eye protection. But at the bottom of this particular podcast, the links that we have are quite interesting. We'll give you all the information for your location wherever you're listening to the Dr. Sky Experience here on Talk Radio 77 WABC. And we'll also add 2 of our very interesting YouTube videos which cover the annular eclipse of the sun back in 2012 when we were at the Grand Canyon in Arizona. And our very special treat for all of you, if you've never seen a total solar eclipse, our Dr. Sky Experience as we went to the beautiful state of Idaho in a town called Rigby, where we were at the Blue Heron Inn with about 500 other eclipse fans. But more important than that, you will get to see what it's like to see a great total solar eclipse. Now, not to be overly repetitive, but the next great total solar eclipse will take place April 8th of 2024. It begins over Mexico, southern Texas, moves up into areas like Arkansas, Missouri, all the way into southern Illinois, up into Indiana, into Ohio, and along the area for our WABC friends, right up in the far western area of New York State and downtown Buffalo, New York. But hoping your weather conditions will be clear as it continues to move up into Vermont, up into Maine, and up into the Maritimes. Now, why am I going through this great detail? There's plenty of time to talk about the eclipse, the total eclipse. Not really. If you find rooms in the area along the eclipse path, expect to pay a considerable sum because of the popularity of the event. Best weather conditions for the total solar eclipse are more likely in Texas, areas just to the west of San Antonio, Fredericksburg, Texas, areas around Waco, and even downtown Dallas, Texas experience the total solar eclipse. That's something you shouldn't miss. So once again, in summary, the annular eclipse of the sun taking place Saturday, October the 14th. For our New York friends, once again, it begins at 12:08 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. 35% of the sun will be covered by the moon at 1:22 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And for the rest of the nation, of course, wanting to see this, check the links that are listed below and our YouTube videos. And once again, if you'd like to get those solar glasses, why do we say that? Because it's so important to protect your eyes. I need not remind you about that. Many people, believe it or not, have stared directly at the sun using other devices that are not necessarily the safe way because it didn't shield out the infrared or even the ambient light that's coming there from the sun. So protect your eyes. Eclipse glasses, once again, proudly our partner, TSE17.com. You'll love the service that they provide, and you'll love the quality product that is ISO certified. Dr. Sky reminds each and everyone to always remember to keep your eyes to the skies, your feet on the ground. I work very hard, and your opinion is, of course, very much important to me, to be your navigator on the highway to the heavens. And you can email me at drsky.show, that's DRSKY show, @gmail.com. And thanks to John Katsimatidis and all the staff of WABC for having me on the Cats Roundtable, the 5 o'clock show, and our hour-long adventure into the night sky and cosmos every 2 weeks with Frank Morano as he does his overnight show from 1 a.m. till sunrise. Don't miss it. Dr. Sky wishes you the best for health and happiness, and let me know about some of the things that you're inquiring about or questions that you may have about these eclipses and so much more. It's an amazing event. If you have cameras, also protect them naturally with solar glasses or the proper solar film. Until next time, clear skies and health and happiness. Thank you for listening to me, Dr. Sky, and the Dr. Sky Experience here on Talk Radio 77 WABC.